Hey guys, it's Mike from Lake and Lodge Garage. So I was surfing around on the interwebs the other day on eBay and I found this. And come to find out, this is a thing. So I'm not real familiar with this until I started researching it, but this is a Corvette C4, so the 88 to 96 Corvettes. Independent rear suspension, independent front suspension. This is the full setup. I mean, literally everything you need to bolt into a hot rod is right here. These do have the monoleaf springs. You could use those, or you could convert it over to coilover. But I'm looking at this for the 55 Chevy truck, and I'm sitting there going, that's $1,200. I can't buy the third member for the Ford rear end for $1,200. So the amount of money that this would save if I could make this work with my frame would be crazy. So I'm looking at this, and all the parts are there, all the mounting points are there. You could transfer those or document them. So I said to myself, let's give this a shot and see what it looks like. So I found this model online on one of the 3D model sites. Did a bunch of work to it, cleaned it up, got everything to mate properly. This is a C4 rear end, supposedly. There's something a little funny with it. This batwing bracket on the back of the differential, it looks a lot narrower than all of the ones that I've seen. So I'm taking this with a grain of salt right now, but it's pretty much everything else is there and looks correct for the C4 rear suspension Corvette. So I said, how hard would it be to mount this? It looks pretty simple, right? So I spent a little bit of time and adapted my chassis to use it. I just had to flare out on the sides a little bit because there's a pretty important bump stop here. The four link, it's a fairly short four link, but you don't care. It's not going to move. It literally is stationary. This part moves, but the rear end housing does not move at all in the differential housing. So that's solid mounted through the pinion plate up to the frame and through both of these ears. And then you can use a coilover and a lot of different configurations you could do, or you could do the mono spring in the back, so like the Corvette has. So, looking at this, I'm like, wow, you can get full independent rear suspension by going with one of these dropouts and for short money. So I'm like, wow, this needs to be explored a little further. So I went ahead and adapted the frame, did a version for this rear end versus the Ford 9-inch. I think I'm going to do this. I think this is a pretty nice little nice way to go. I don't really see a downside to it. Yeah, you'll have to go through and replace all the bushings and all the wear parts if you get something like this, but my God, the amount of money that saves just in the rear end, brake calipers, rotors, everything. It's a really economical way to get a performance rear end. They come in limited slip. They don't tend to have very high gear ratios. Most of them are like 250, 270 in the Corvettes. But hey, if it's good enough for Corvette, that would be good enough for a truck. So anyway, this is what I'm going to try. I've been mocking this up, and like I said, I had to do a funny little outrigger mount here to bump that out for the frame width. I could have brought my rails out, but I kind of like the way the rails stay straight. That adds a lot of strength, and I can build this little funky hockey stick affair here pretty simply. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to go this route with it. Why not? It's kind of cool. It's got the cool factor. You don't have to worry about pinion angle so much because the pinion angle doesn't change ever. Could be a pretty hot setup. So I think this is what I'm going to try. I do have to research this piece a little bit more. The the differential rear cover, this piece is it doesn't seem right. It seems super narrow compared to what I'm seeing online. So, but either way, I've got it set up. So all I got to do is alter this bracket, and I can move that anywhere I want it. I'm pretty happy with the ride height right here. If I turn on the where is it? I have a thing that mocks up the rocker panel height. Yeah, so this is the this just kind of mocks up where the rocker panel would be, and just so I could get an idea, and that puts the center of the tire right about about 3 inches below, I mean above rocker panel height. So that should give a good ride height, reasonable ride height. It's not going to be slammed. That's not what I want. I just want a reasonable ride height for good riding, nice handling pickup. So yeah, I think I'm going to give this a go. The width turns out it's just about right. It might be about 2 inches wider than I would normally do, but that can be easily handled. There's tons of room behind there, so that can be easily handled with rim offset. So I think I'm going to give this a go. I think this looks like a cool way to do this project, and yeah, should be fun. So yeah, I'm going to move on to the front end next, but I think I might as well use a Corvette C4 front end or a C5 front end, since I can buy this stuff relatively inexpensive. I was floored when I saw just how cheap you could buy a front end and rear end dropout out of a C4 Corvette. It was just $900 to $1,200 is what I'm seeing for complete sets. Wow. Why wouldn't you do it? That seems like a no-brainer at this point. So I'm going to give it a go and see what happens.